You don't give a fuck when you land or not, just let him go. Don't worry about it, he gonna be a shitty fight, but you gotta let punches go. Last round. You can't wait until they get, if you miss it, bang, go right back. And don't take 30 seconds to start another punch.
Alexander, I'm the best ever. There's never been anybody like me. I'm Sonny Liston, I'm Jack Dempsey, there's no one like me. I'm from Nairclaw, there's no one that can match me. My style is impeccable, my defense is impregnable. Look at that! Look at that combination! And the turn
I kept telling him he had no punch, he couldn't hit, he's swinging like a sissy, he's missing, let me see your box. I hadn't started dancing yet. A tremendous motivational first round, and Burns gets hurt. Burns got stunned. Acko was stunned early in the round. Great first round. Incredible. Perhaps one of the best in middleweight history.
That black guy, he hits hard.
Fire!
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Hands of Fire Boxing Talk. I'm your host, writer and reporter for RealCombatMedia.com, G.Alé Dampier, and I'm joined by my Ring IQ admins, Ibn Daoud.
You already know, 215, what's up?
And Julius Fox.
Hi, what's good, y'all?
Hey, we're here for the reaction to Billy Joe Saunders, who eked out a unanimous decision over Artur Akavov. I'm pretty sure I fucked that up. But in a fight that just really might have just definitely dropped some stock with him, he officially, for me, has become food of the 160-pound division. So,
you saying he the Danny Garcia 160?
That's right. That's actually a perfect. That's the perfect
No, don't disrespect Danny like that.
Listen, I'll tell you what though. If listen, let's just say this.
So Billy got Andy Lee. He got Chris Eubank Jr. Like how Danny got names. Billy got names. Danny got better names than that.
Hey, but listen, let's just say it like this. Let's just say it like this.
140 make him a whole nother level than that.
Let's just say this. If you're Errol Spence or any type of prospect on the rise, you're like, say you're number 2 or number 1 in your respected sanctioning body. And if you're at least you're across the board, I'm probably looking at Danny Garcia if I'm at 147. Yeah. And if I'm at 160, I'm looking at Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, you looking at Billy Joe?
Yeah, I'm looking at Billy.
All other roads is closed because all other roads lead to the G-Man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
IBF road, WBA road, WBC road. That's G-Man territory. So you better go holler at Billy.
Yeah.
Billy looking real human right now.
That's very bad because here he was supposed to be here he came off of a long layoff. I've spoken to another admin, Mike Mary, who's very close to the Billy Joe Saunders camp, about what was he doing this whole time? It seemed like he said injury and the fact that he was out of shape, and there was a picture of Billy Joe Saunders I just saw. He literally looked like one of those kids from the Heavyweight movie. Like, it was unbelievable. Like, to see how big he was.
Yeah.
He looked crazy.
With the fat guy from Sandlot.
Yeah, he looked huge. He looked like Mikey from Recess. It was ridiculous.
Shit.
But even to that, I'm gonna be transparent here. On this podcast, I did admit to calling Billy Ho Saunders for not being able to work out a fight with Gabe Rosado and Curtis Stevens and other fighters pretty much on the underpar for this.
Let's put things into context, Georgie. He got hurt for the Max Berzak fight, and that's cool. You get a pass. Danny Jacobs stepped to you, and you let that one get away. Then Golden Boy stepped to you. They say, yo, you can fight Gabe Rosado on Canelo and Beefy's undercard. He ain't want to do that neither. So you come in couple of weeks later, couple of months later, and stink up the joint with Artur Akavov.
And
it's like, God,
but
like you a hot pocket.
But the thing I guess we can look, the thing we can look in retrospect now is like, now I gave him shit for not taking these fights, but seeing how he looked tonight, I don't want to say I gave him a pass, but I guess I understand now on why. He said in the post, well, let's just talk about the fight. Started off with Artur just pretty much coming out trying to gain the title here. He was, for me, dictated the fight for the most part. Billy Joe was sluggish. He was moving well, which is nice. It seemed like he was doing for the most part a lot of cardio, which I'm almost certain he would have to be moving around. But he just couldn't land. He couldn't get off, and he was getting hit clean. And
that's too much time on the couch, too much Netflix.
And again, another Nicholas Walters we have on the situation here.
Yeah.
And what I guess is unfortunate for his part now is again, let's just finish talking about the fight. But he goes on to get a little bit competitive. I'd say for me, he didn't really seem to step on the gas until about the 8th round. And then started making a bit competitive, but then still again worn off a bit toward the tail end. And luckily I wasn't a judge for over there because we'd have a new WBO champion.
And one of the commentators actually shared that sentiment. He scored it for Akavov,
and that's telling you something because they do not. I was even mentioning while I was watching it. The guy said, "Well, I gotta have Billy Joe Saunders up by a round." Like how? Like I couldn't even find a round to give him at that point. And the English are very biased. I mean, and that's across the board with everything. Listen,
you got English commentators giving Wolverine the fight, that's telling you something, man.
Yeah,
that's telling you something.
And unfortunately, with I guess Billy Joe Saunders feeling much pity and not too good for his performance, he immediately grabbed the mic, explained to the crowd that, I guess what he was supposed to be doing was this was supposed to be a fight where he called out Golovkin and Canelo. And he definitely bypassed that. He said, like, I'm not even going to play you guys out to say something like that. But I'm working on trying to get better. I acknowledge that I sucked tonight, and just I guess he tried to steal the spotlight on himself for accountability, really, not for glamour. But
that much I respected. That's the one highlight of the night for Billy Joe Saunders that I did respect. At least he acknowledged that. Look, man, I wasn't shit tonight, and I ain't even gonna bother calling you guys out. I don't deserve. I give you that. I can call you guys out after that shit.
See, but he does. But that's the thing. I think that him and Tyson Fury are, and I guess that's maybe an Irish thing, that they are very transparent with themselves, and they are one of the first people to tell you, like, yo, I look terrible this day, or I look like shit. Like Tyson Fury is the type of guy like you got beat by this fat piece of shit, to Vladimir Klitschko. That's how he trolls him for the rematch. Like, look, you let me beat you, and I look like guy. Yeah, he gets off on shit like that. So now, and I guess, and I didn't know this about Artur Akavov, that he was 16-0 going into this fight, so he was a pretty decent challenger in here. But because for me, I'm looking at this guy like, wow, this guy just came up in here and just stole like this dude's belt. But he was always going to be against it if he couldn't get the knockout. So I'm not. So once I heard the fact that it was a unanimous decision, I already knew where the fight was going. And so I was like, well, yep. So let's talk about Billy Joe Saunders' situation now, because in the group, we do have some harsh fans in our we play pretty hardball in Ring IQ, and there's some people now that are saying if you're Golovkin, and if you're in the Golovkin camp, that Billy Joe Saunders is a cherry.
Well, I mean, look, the Golovkin critics are going to jump to that conclusion before a lot of people, and they don't give him credit for anything he's done thus far in the division. So they wouldn't give him credit for beating Billy Joe Saunders, even if he didn't look like that tonight. They weren't going to give him credit anyway. The thing about it is, Billy Joe is not necessarily a cherry, or at least he wasn't before tonight. He's not a cherry because he's not skillful. Look at his resume. He beat Chris Eubank Jr. He beat Andy Lee. Those are solid names in the division. So to just call him outright a cherry based on one performance would be tantamount to calling Luis Ortiz a cherry for anybody holding a belt in the heavyweight division. One bad performance doesn't determine a career. But at this stage in the game, Billy Joe, he looks very human. That's the most I can say about that shit. He looked very human, and I could see why anybody would be in a hurry to fight him at this point in time.
Evan?
Well, Billy Joe, to me, this performance, I don't know what he had going on. He had the injury or whatever, but, like, Billy Joe is like, I was feeling like he ain't really want to fight nobody. He come back, he take this fight, and he's like tooth and nail in the fight that people thought he was going to probably try to put on some type of a show and be impressive, and like he wasn't able to do that. And like, my thing is like I want to see what it does with this title, because it's like holding everything up. Like, you could fight Danny Jacobs, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like if Danny Jacobs had Joe Belt, we probably could get the Golovkin fight, because he probably could demand some more money. So that would put your belt.
We know he passed on Jacobs though. He ain't want to fight Danny when he came.
This is what I'm saying.
Now we don't want to
do nothing. You don't want to fight Danny. You don't want to fight Golovkin. Like, who do you want to fight? You want to fight, like, you just want to sit. You're babysitting the belt, man.
And even the bad thing is even in the attempt of babysitting, he almost just lost it tonight. And I think that's probably that's got to be a gutting feeling right now. And I know that I hope
Canelo move up and they make Canelo.
See, and that's why I would think. See, if this shouldn't be of one thing to take out of tonight, you would probably be thinking, well, gee, I wonder how anxious Canelo is now to move up to the 160-pound division, because at least you can at least see this as a doorway. What was that?
That might entice it on that end, but I mean, if Canelo does enter the 160-pound division, the pendulum's swinging for him just as much as it's swinging for Saunders, and I don't know that he wants that shit. You know what I mean? That'd be, that's saying that, well, you could go to 160 and beat Billy Joe Saunders, but that doesn't bode well for you any more than it boded well for him, because then that puts you even further in Golovkin's crosshairs. I don't know that Golden Boy wants that. I don't know that Canelo wants that.
That's true. Because even on top of that...
He gonna have to fight them kids at 54 then.
Yeah. Well. Here's the thing that I would guess. Here's what sways me on that is because here he could get that WBO title and still do the same fuckboy 154 or 155 catchweight shit with that title, like he did with this WBC. Yep. So I can't necessarily say that he'll. That I could say that be his transition into 160 pounds. Now, I'm going to throw this question out to you guys because I guess we want to try to explore the options, or at least what Billy Joe Saunders could do from this point. But if I could ask you guys to look into your crystal balls, pause, and ask and figure out, is Billy Joe Saunders still champion in 6 months?
Max Berzak. That's all. They are probably on the phone with Max Berzak right now, scheduling a fight. They're not going to throw him in there with Chris Eubank Jr. Not right now. He'd lose that title. Andy Lee's tied up with Highland. That's supposed to be his next fight. They're definitely not going to go for Golovkin. I think that they're going to give Billy another fight to warm up. Could be Max Berzak, because he was the guy on the table before Akavov even became a fact. That's what I think they're going to do.
Man, I want that belt to go somewhere where they can fight Golovkin. So, like, somebody can fight him, or, like, you know what I mean? So, like, so everything could just move along. Like, it's like that piece of the puzzle is like holding stuff at a standstill, because the complaint is money. And that's the one thing that evens out the money. And then the one person who has it doesn't even want to do nothing with it. So it's just like, you drawing with the golden ticket. You got it, but you don't want to do nothing with it.
And even with this golden ticket that he has, per se, and you were talking about how money was an issue for most of the time when it came to making negotiations for this fight. That's
Golovkin fights, period.
I think this takes a hit now.
They complain.
Yeah, well, if anything, he takes a hit out of that argument now.
Right.
So
because Billy doesn't have that problem. Billy is in the UK. Y'all can fight in the UK. You got a belt. He got to give you at least 40%, right? So
Yeah.
So, and you
I mean,
know,
but
40% of some UK money, you know. Wembley Stadium,
The downside of this situation for Billy is that this kind of closed a lot of doors for him. Because, you know, you could have said, if he would have went on, right, and he would have had a good showing against Akavov, he could have fucked around and had a rematch with Chris Eubank Jr. You know what I mean? And nobody could say boo, because that would have made money in the UK, even if we wasn't interested in it over here. But now you really can't even do that, because Chris Eubank Jr., coming off of beating the shit off of, I think, Tom Doran, he's picking up steam. So it's too dangerous to fight him. You might lose your title to him. So you got to take another soft touch. You got to take him. You can't fight Chris looking like you look tonight. You gonna lose that title.
And that unification pathway is only getting slimmer now, with Danny Jacobs and Golovkin now looking like they're going to be getting finalized for a fight. So I mean, you can only run around in that, you know, in so many rooms until you run into Golovkin, man. So it's not looking good. And this is why I say he's food for the division, because it's really, I don't see him at a point where, like we're with tonight, that, of course, obviously he had tangible like mistakes that weren't there. Obviously, like, you know, certain abilities just not being there. But I'm just talking about his overall skill set. I don't think that he's good enough to hold maybe 5 defense titles against top 10 opposition. I don't think he'll be able to hold on.
Well, I think that the very best Billy Joe we saw, which was the Billy Joe that fought Andy Lee and took that title.
Yeah.
I think that Billy Joe could beat David Lemieux, could beat Curtis Stevens. Danny Jacobs, I think Danny Jacobs would beat even the best version of Billy Joe Saunders. I think Danny would win that fight. But ultimately, I do think that Billy could have 3-4 good title defenses if he were at his best. Reality is that he's not. And he's very fucking human, and there's a lot of fucking guys that want that belt so they could get that leverage against Golovkin, which could send Billy Joe, like if he wasn't ducking before, we might fuck around see new levels of ducking that we never seen before, like the Star Trek of ducking.
And that's a scary problem. See, and here, I guess this what kind of goes back to my last question, though, is, do you think he really is going to be? See, of course, it's smart for him to take another tune-up fight of some sort before facing Eubank Jr. But logistically, does that happen?
Well, I mean, you know, Billy's been crying injured a lot, so you know what could happen. He gets, you know, they name an opponent, and suddenly Billy Joe's hand starts to hurt again. I mean, these guys shamelessly. I mean, I don't believe that he was hurt. I don't believe it. I know that that's a contention. I know that it's a personal belief, but I believe he was stalling. I believe that he wanted to take a year off because he doesn't want to fight Golovkin, and he doesn't want to fight any of these other guys. So he wanted to take a year off without getting the backlash of not defending his title for a whole fucking year. There were good fights that were on the table for you. If, all right, you don't want to fight Danny Jacobs because that's too risky, that's fine. I can understand it. I don't condone it. I don't support it, but I understand it. That, it's too risky, so I don't want to fight that guy. But they offered you Gabe Rosado on the Liam Smith Canelo undercard, and you didn't even want to fight him. Why would you not want to fight him? Gabe bleeds for the 160-pound division, man. He bleeds for it. You know what I'm saying? He's the who's who guy of who the fuck up at 160 pounds, and you didn't even want to fuck him up. Like, who do you want to fight, dog? And what do you want to do with that title? It's very plausible to me.
Don't disrespect Gabe.
I'm just going to say that it wouldn't even surprise me if they got Max Berzak on the phone and suddenly Billy Joe's hand starts hurting again, because they have shamelessly postponed and claimed to be injured, and it just looks to me the pattern of a guy who doesn't want to fight, because even after the injury, you didn't want to fight Danny and you didn't want to fight Gabe. There's not a lot of reasons for you to not want to fight them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I agree.
It's It's funny, man. This is one of those few, and I guess maybe we're slightly biased as Americans, but I mean, and I'm even seeing shout out to Glenn Rogers.
I fucks with Glenn. I fucks with Glenn, Mike Mary.
Listen,
always.
It ain't about the UK because James DeGale don't rule like this.
No, he don't.
The Prince never ruled like this. Lennon didn't roll like this. It's not about
Yeah, and listen,
we ain't gonna take it there.
Everyone,
it's about Billy Joe Saunders.
It is about exactly. It's about Billy Joe and his pattern of bullshit. And this is not a UK versus America thing. This is about Billy. Billy has a pattern of bullshit. Okay.
Yep.
After you came off of the injury with Max Berzak, you still didn't want to fight nobody. You know what I'm saying? Then this fight got postponed, but it's like, well, looking at this shit, it's like, man, it surprised me if you hold on to that title and you name a guy and then you get hurt again. And that allows, with you saying that you got hurt, that allows the WBO to allow you to hold that title because you're quote-unquote injured. You know, it's a pattern with this guy. He doesn't want to fight nobody.
And you want to, here's a small...
The sooner they take that belt from him, the better.
Yeah, basically. But here's a little small. This is like, I think is like a microcosm of where Billy Joe Saunders is at right now. In the post-fight, well, not really interview, but it was strange. Really, it's like soon as the fight ended, someone just threw him a mic. Like he just went over to the side. Someone threw him a mic. And just went on his own. Nobody asked him any questions. It was like his own little way of a post-fight interview. But he said that he hadn't done, like, his excuse was why he wasn't so sharp was, he hadn't been sparring in 5 weeks. And this is where being an admin and Ring IQ is so clutch. Because here, Mike, he had the download of everything was going on in Billy Joe Saunders' camp. And he's like, well, unfortunately, that's not true because this is him and his sparring partners. Here are my guys that sparred with him 2 weeks ago.
The lies we weave.
See, so, that's unfortunately, if you're a Billy Joe Saunders fan, which, God bless you, it doesn't look like he will be holding on to this title much longer. And if you ask me, if he has up to 6 months, if he's smart, he'll take a fight, to tune himself up. But I don't think he shouldn't be surprised if anyone's demanding for at the least not a Billy Joe Saunders, but a Chris Eubank Jr. rematch. I think he should have sight on that 2017 in the spring. Maybe summer. I'll say if that's his next fight.
You guys sure we ain't gonna have to do this podcast again because we just divulged Mike as the source.
Well,
hey man,
I didn't say his last name though.
It's a lot of motherfuckers named Mike in the world.
Hey, I didn't say his last name.
Don't publish this without asking if he's gonna get in trouble.
Oh man, don't make me think about that.
It's a pseudonym, man. That ain't even his name.
Did I say his last name?
Yeah.
Did I say Mike's last name? All right then. Mike Joe, what's going on, bro?
Man.
Mike.
Look, let's put it like this. When it comes to Billy is kind of, his options are far and few. Even with the sanctioning bodies, these shenanigans can only go on but for so long. You can buy. He bought time. He bought time the whole 2016. He bought time. But after that, what you gonna do? You gonna keep saying you're injured? What are you gonna do now? You know what I mean? And that's really what the dilemma is for him. That if Canelo so chooses to move up now, well, that fight is a reality. And at this stage in Billy Joe's career, with the way that he's looking, it's very possible that Canelo could beat him for that title. It's also very possible that if you chose to fight Chris Eubank again, he could beat you for that title. I mean, it's a who's who of guys, even David Lemieux, with the way that Billy looked tonight, and I used to edge Billy Joe to beat David Lemieux because I feel he's craftier than he is, and he's got better dimensions than he is. David Lemieux's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
But if they fought, if David Lemieux that just fought on the Amir Khan undercard with Canelo, if that David Lemieux fought Billy Joe that was Billy Joe tonight, he'd be the new WBO champion.
He's looking for a Golovkin rematch.
Easy.
Yeah. So you got any final thoughts, Eben, on Billy Joe Saunders as far as his situation, what he looks like from here on?
I want him to get into a real fight again.
Hey, welcome to the party. That's all of us. Say something different, Eben, okay?
That's all I can say about him, because I don't want to be disrespectful to a fighter for real, when I don't have to be, but I'm not really pleased with the guy, and I hadn't really been pleased with him in a while.
Hey, well,
that's the truth.
That's why I can't shy away from the name Billy Ho Saunders, because at times you're doing some ho shit. This is one of them.
We don't want to take the piss out of the fighters. We don't want to disrespect the fight. And I'm not trying to disrespect the guy, but I'm just speaking from the perspective of a gambling man that, hey, man, I wouldn't bet on Billy to win a lot of fights right about now.
And it seems
that's just how I feel.
And it seems like he doesn't have the confidence to bet on himself either. So it's like, if that's his point,
exactly.
Then you're just stalling. You're on the clock. Let's say he's a TikTok champion.
Yeah, he's on borrowed time, man. That title could change hands very soon. We really don't know. We don't know exactly what shameless antics would go into holding that title a little longer, or we don't know that he might not cash out and let Canelo take it from him. We don't know.
His title needs to be taken from him so that we can move on with boxing.
you feel like he's stopping Golovkin from moving up.
I'm talking, because we need to give Golovkin a situation where he can do what he got to do and move on, so we can get into it. Like, you know what I mean? We need to get into it.
And it does seem like these guys are just prolonging the process.
That's all I'm saying.
This whole I'm going to say something. I'm going to say this shit. This is why right now my favorite division is the heavyweight division. You know what I'm saying? That's why things are moving along a lot faster in that division than they are at 160, than they are at 154, than they are at 147. I'm saying Andy Ruiz, Joseph Parker, they're going to be fighting for a title. Deontay Wilder is back from his injury. He'll likely be facing the winner of Pavek and Stavern. A full year later, after Billy done won that title, he still hasn't fought Golovkin. A full year later, Canelo still hasn't moved up the middleweight. It's like this whole fucking thing is like bad oatmeal. You know what I'm saying? It's just sitting there, not doing
47,
shit.
47 is moving along now. They're about to have a unification bout. They had a fight of the year candidate this year. They keep them moving along.
Porter versus Thurman was a great fight, but if you look at the talent pool in that division, you would have thought that you got a couple more good fights out of it than what we got.
But Cal Brook got to fight Errol Spence, or you know what I'm saying? He probably got to fight March.
But look, let's listen. That's all besides the point. We just need Billy Joe Saunders to give up that title. All right. And so he can stop the traffic flow that is the 160-pound division. Just give Golovkin the damn title already. I mean, you already admitted to Chris Eubank Jr. that he beat both you guys' asses on the same night.
That's the disgusting part. That, like, look, at least let Danny take it from you. You didn't even want to fight him.
It's a pride thing.
I don't want Golovkin to be handed another title. That's my problem.
See, but the thing is,
they handed him the WBC. They handed him the WBA. I want him to beat the shit out of somebody for a goddamn title that's not from fucking Canada with a bad haircut.
It's a shame, because it's like Golovkin is just running up in the crib, taking the jewels, and you're like, yo, you're not gonna fight me. You're not gonna. You're not
even gonna try to defend this fucking thing. Like, at least throw a punch in my direction, man.
But that's gonna wrap things up. It's disgusting. It's shit, man. Get your shit together, Billy Joe, man. Stop fucking around.
I'm mad, guys, because I couldn't even really get into this podcast, because, like, even going into this fight, I didn't even really care for it. Because I'm like, Billy Joe, you're not doing nothing, and I don't really care if it's just 5 times anymore. You've been buying time. Now you're gonna fight in 5 times in my beat.
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens when a fighter is too good for his own good. Those of you that follow the Ring IQ YouTube channel know that that's one of the things I like to say. Golovkin like Guillermo Redondeado, like formerly Luis Ortiz, who seems very human now, even though I think that's misleading. That's what happens when you do good for your own good. You know what I mean? People don't want to fight you. People will do anything not to fight you. You know what I'm saying? They want to be compensated heavily for doing things that they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
You're a fucking champion, so act like it. Fight this guy. If you lose, it's okay. I mean, a lot of people got jokes on David Lemieux, but at the end of the day, there's an underlying respect for a guy who can earn a title and say, "Hey, fuck it, I'm a champion. I'm willing to get in there and fight him next." You know what I mean? It's maybe not the smartest thing to do, but it shows guts, and that's something that a lot of people feel that boxing is missing these days. It's missing the guts.
And just let alone just off the bat, you already know. You've proven yourself worthy of a champion. Even like worst comes to worst, you knew that you weren't. Like it's not like if you lost, you know you weren't ready for it yet.
Hey man, shout out to the champions that lost their titles in their first, immediately after winning them. The Charles Martins, the David Lemieux.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Those guys might not be top tier great and stuff like that, but they put it on the line, and you gotta respect that at least. Got
to, because I mean, and see that's why I like to shy away from the old, if your O goes and you're not worthy, you're not a good fighter anymore. Because I think people build up so much into that it's almost like they'll let the fact that they're undefeated rule over the fact of who they fought in the first place. Yeah. So, but that's another conversation. We're just going to end this podcast now. I mean, I think we're done beating the shit out of Billy Joe Saunders. He's down to a bloody pulp. So hopefully he can drag himself up and, prove us wrong. Honestly, I would love it if he did that. But, that's it for me. George Ale Dampier on Facebook, G.Alé 6 on Instagram, Georgie Dampier on Twitter. Ring IQ Group, big shout out, always doing big things over there. I'm pretty sure they're still grilling Billy Joe Saunders as we speak right now too. So he's just getting the work everywhere. Any shout out for you guys?
Really more civil than anything that's on the page right now. Like we're just being so kind and polite to Billy right now. I think. Right.
Basically. Any shout outs for you guys? Page, you guys any shout outs before you go?
Hey man. Shout out to the heavyweight division. That's all I got to say. Shit.
Yeah, word up. Evan?
You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Wante because it's his birthday. Shout out to Wante. I taught him how to cut hair, man.
Wante.
I taught him how to do that. I taught him everything he knows.
And shout out to little Sophie Rogers over in the UK, 2-time the amateur champ. She won nationals twice.
Oh,
and that's Glenn's daughter, and that's actually like my favorite fighter in the UK. Her and James DeGale, man. Billy got good together, man. He's nothing like Sophie. Sophie don't be ducking and ducking.
Yeah, Sophie knows what it is. Sophie, what's going on, Glenn?
Right.
But that's.
Shout out to the heavyweight division. Klitschko versus Joshua will be a reality.
Oh yeah, you know that recently announced. Oh man, we got some fun topics to talk about soon, man. There's gonna be so much fun. Man. But that's gonna wrap things up. We're out of here. Peace.
Peace.